I was sitting alone at my dining table preparing to propose to Jessica after 3 years together. The ring box sat open, glimmering under the candlelight when my phone buzzed. The message read, "I am pregnant, but it is not yours." My world froze. The carefully prepared dinner grew cold as I stared at those words. Instead of breaking down, I simply typed back, "Congratulations," and blocked her number. Before I tell you about the condolence card I sent to the man she had been seeing, let me know where you are watching from, and hit subscribe if you want to find out what happened next when she frantically tried to reach me, claiming she had made a mistake. I first met Jessica at a local coffee shop 3 years ago. I had been working on my laptop when she accidentally bumped into my table, nearly spilling my coffee. Her immediate apology came with a genuine smile that caught my attention right away. Jessica was everything I thought I wanted in a partner. She had long auburn hair, intelligent green eyes, and a confident demeanor that spoke of her successful career as a marketing executive. "Let me buy you another coffee," she had offered, seeming genuinely concerned about almost ruining my work. "Only if you join me," I countered, surprising myself with my boldness. That spontaneous coffee turned into dinner that weekend at an upscale Italian restaurant downtown. The connection between us felt electric. We talked for hours about our ambitions, families, and views on life. Jessica told me about growing up in Seattle, her move to pursue her career, and her dream to eventually start her own agency. I shared stories about my engineering background and my passion for designing sustainable buildings. "I have never connected with someone so quickly," she told me at the end of that night, and I had to agree. Our relationship blossomed beautifully during those first 2 years. We traveled to California wine country, spent holidays with both our families, and started discussing our future together. Her parents welcomed me warmly during Thanksgiving, and my mom practically adopted Jessica as the daughter she never had. Everything seemed perfect. After 18 months together, we decided to move in together. I gave up my bachelor apartment, and we found a spacious 2-bedroom in a vibrant neighborhood with great restaurants and parks nearby. Our life together fell into a comfortable rhythm. Weekday mornings meant shared breakfasts before heading to our respective offices. Weekends were filled with farmers markets, home improvement projects, and cozy movie nights. "I could live like this forever," I told her on our 2nd anniversary, not realizing then how temporary forever would turn out to be. The first signs of trouble began appearing about 6 months ago, though I was too blinded by love to recognize them clearly. Jessica started coming home later from work, offering vague explanations about client meetings and work emergencies. At first, I thought nothing of it. Her company had taken on several new accounts, and I knew firsthand how demanding corporate life could be. But then came the secretive phone calls. Jessica would step onto our balcony to take certain calls, her voice dropping to a whisper. When I would enter the room while she was texting, she would quickly turn her phone screen away. Once I caught a glimpse of her rapidly closing a conversation thread when I approached. "Work stuff," she explained with a tight smile. "Just boring client drama." There were other changes too. Jessica began paying more attention to her appearance in ways that seemed beyond her usual self-care routine. New outfits appeared in her closet, more revealing than her typical professional attire. She started visiting the salon more frequently, changed her perfume, and spent longer preparing for work each morning. Most concerning was the gradual decline in intimacy between us. Our physical relationship, once passionate and frequent, became increasingly rare. When I tried to initiate affection, Jessica would often claim exhaustion or stress from work. The emotional distance grew alongside the physical one. Yet, despite these warning signs, I refused to acknowledge the obvious. I attributed her behavior changes to workplace pressure, and possibly a promotion she had mentioned hoping for. I trusted Jessica completely, and could not imagine her being unfaithful. Instead of confronting her about my concerns, I decided to double down on our commitment. I planned to propose on our upcoming 3rd anniversary. I spent weeks researching the perfect engagement ring, eventually selecting a 1-carat diamond set in white gold that cost nearly 3 months of my salary. I made reservations at an exclusive restaurant and even contacted her friends to arrange a surprise celebration afterward. "She's going to say yes," my best friend assured me when I showed him the ring. "You two are perfect together." How terribly wrong we both were. The day everything fell apart started normally enough. It was a Friday and I had taken the afternoon off to prepare a special dinner at home. I wanted to create a romantic atmosphere before we headed to the restaurant where I planned to propose. I spent hours cooking her favorite meal, grilled salmon, with roasted vegetables and garlic mashed potatoes. I bought her favorite wine, set up candles throughout our apartment, and scattered rose petals leading to the dining table. At exactly 6:15 p.m., as I was opening the bottle of wine, my phone buzzed with a message from Jessica. I expected a text saying she was on her way home, perhaps running late from work. Instead, those 9 words appeared on my screen: "I am pregnant, but it is not yours." I read the message multiple times, convinced I had misunderstood somehow. But the words remained unchanged, stark, and devastating in their clarity. I felt as though someone had punched me directly in the stomach. The room seemed to spin around me as I gripped the edge of the counter for support. My first instinct was to call her immediately, to demand an explanation, to scream, to break down. Instead, I found myself frozen, unable to type more than that single-word response: "Congratulations." Then I blocked her number before she could reply. Something inside me needed time to process this betrayal before facing her. With shaking hands, I set down my phone and looked around at the romantic scene I had created. The candles flickered mockingly, illuminating the dinner that would never be eaten, the wine that would never be shared. The engagement ring sat in my pocket, suddenly heavy and meaningless. Rather than drowning in alcohol or destroying our apartment in rage, I channeled my shock into a methodical search for answers. Jessica and I had always respected each other's privacy, but this situation warranted an exception. I went to her laptop, which she had left at home that day. I knew her password from the time she had asked me to check something for her while she was at work. I felt no guilt as I logged in and began searching through her email and social media accounts. It did not take long to uncover the truth I both dreaded and needed to confirm. In her Facebook Messenger, I found months of conversations with someone named Kyle. A quick search revealed he was her coworker, the new creative director, who had joined her company 6 months ago. The timing aligned perfectly with the changes in her behavior. Their messages left nothing to the imagination. What had started as friendly workplace banter had quickly evolved into flirtatious exchanges, secret lunch dates, and eventually explicit conversations about their physical relationship. They had been sleeping together for 5 months, always at his apartment during her supposed late meetings or client dinners. The most recent messages discussed her pregnancy and their plans moving forward. Kyle seemed less than enthusiastic about becoming a father, suggesting she take care of it before anyone found out. Jessica had been arguing that she wanted to keep the baby, but was concerned about how to handle the situation with me. "I need to tell Tom," she had written just yesterday. "He deserves to know the truth." "Just make it clean," Kyle had responded. "We do not need more drama than necessary." I scrolled back through months of messages, each one driving the knife deeper into my heart. The worst part was seeing how Jessica had come home to me after being with him, pretending everything was normal, accepting my affection, while carrying on this deception. I discovered other lies as well. The promotion she had claimed to be working toward had never existed. Her work trips had actually been weekends away with Kyle. She had even been siphoning money from our joint account to buy gifts for him, disguising the transactions as work expenses. As the full extent of her betrayal became clear, my initial shock gave way to a soul-crushing pain, unlike anything I had ever experienced. It was not just the infidelity that hurt, but the calculated deception, the ease with which she had maintained this double life, while I remained completely in the dark, planning our future together. I sat in our living room surrounded by candles and rose petals, reading intimate messages between the woman I loved and the man she had chosen over me. In one particularly painful exchange, Jessica had complained to Kyle about how boring our relationship had become, how much more exciting it was to be with him. They had even laughed about my obliviousness. The pain was almost unbearable, but as I sat there among the ruins of my romantic plans, something shifted inside me. A strange calm began to replace the chaos of my emotions. I would not let this destroy me. I would not beg for explanations or second chances. I would not become a cautionary tale of a man broken by betrayal. In that moment of clarity, I made a decision that would define everything that followed. I would not play the role of victim in this story. Instead of lashing out in blind rage or collapsing in despair, I would respond with dignity and self-respect. My reaction would be controlled, calculated, and designed to help me move forward rather than remain trapped in pain. "This is not going to break me," I said aloud to the empty apartment, my voice stronger than I expected. I formulated a plan that would allow me to exit this situation with my self-worth intact. I would not engage in a messy, emotional confrontation with Jessica. I would not give her the satisfaction of seeing me fall apart. Instead, I would take decisive actions that made my position clear while protecting my emotional well-being. My first step was to compose a message to Kyle. Using the contact information I found in Jessica's emails, I sent him a simple text. "Congratulations on becoming a father. That is not my child. Take care of them both." I did not wait for a response before blocking his number as well. Next, I systematically removed Jessica from my digital life. I blocked her on every social media platform, changed my email passwords, and removed her access to my streaming accounts. I took screenshots of the incriminating conversations for my records, then logged out of her accounts. With that done, I began the practical process of separation. I packed only what I needed for the immediate future: essential clothing, toiletries, and important documents. I left the engagement ring in its box on her pillow, without a note. The symbolism would be clear enough. The apartment lease was in both our names, but I had no desire to stay in a place filled with memories of her. I contacted a friend who agreed to let me stay at his place temporarily. I would figure out more permanent arrangements later. Before leaving, I completed one final act of closure. I purchased a sympathy card with condolences on your new responsibility written inside. I added no personal message, simply signed it with my name and mailed it to Kyle at their company address. It was petty, perhaps, but it gave me a small sense of satisfaction, knowing that my response would unsettle them both. Jessica began calling my friends within hours of my disappearance. My phone was flooded with texts and voicemails from numbers I had not blocked: friends, acting as her intermediaries. They all conveyed the same message. Jessica claimed she had made a mistake and needed to talk to me urgently. I called each friend individually, explaining the situation honestly. I did not try to turn them against her, simply shared the facts of what had happened and asked for their support during this difficult time. Almost everyone was shocked and sympathetic. Our social circle had always seen us as the perfect couple. "I cannot believe she would do this to you," my closest friend said. "What do you need from me?" "Just your friendship," I told him, "and maybe help finding a new apartment." Within a week, I had secured a small studio across town. It was nothing fancy, but it was mine alone, a fresh start, untainted by memories of Jessica. I transferred my portion of the shared bills to Jessica and informed our landlord that I would be removing myself from the lease at the earliest opportunity allowed by our contract. At work, I requested a transfer to another project, explaining to my supervisor that I was going through a difficult personal situation. Fortunately, my company had an opening in their downtown office, which would mean a slightly longer commute, but eliminate any chance of randomly running into Jessica in our old neighborhood. Throughout this process, Jessica grew increasingly desperate in her attempts to contact me. She began showing up at my workplace, calling my parents, and even creating new social media accounts to try to reach me. Each time I maintained my silence, refusing to give her the confrontation she sought. From mutual friends, I learned that Kyle had panicked upon receiving my text and the condolence card. Apparently, he had never seriously considered the responsibilities of fatherhood and had assumed Jessica would choose him without complications. The reality of the situation had sent him spiraling, and he had begun distancing himself from Jessica just when she needed his support most. He is backing out, one friend reported after speaking with a coworker at Jessica's company, saying they were never exclusive and questioning if the baby is even his. I took no pleasure in their chaos, but I felt vindicated in my decision to walk away cleanly. The drama unfolding between them confirmed that I had made the right choice in refusing to be part of their story any longer. 3 weeks after Jessica's text, she appeared at my new apartment. To this day, I am not sure how she found my address. I opened the door to find her standing there, mascara streaked down her face, looking nothing like the confident woman I had fallen in love with. Tom, please, she began before I could close the door. I need to talk to you. You have not given me a chance to explain. Against my better judgment, I let her in. Not out of weakness or lingering affection, but because I realized this confrontation was inevitable, and I was finally ready for it. My new space was sparsely furnished, but organized a physical representation of my attempt to rebuild my life with intention and clarity. There is nothing to explain, I said, as she took in my new living situation. The text and the evidence I found said everything. Jessica collapsed onto my sofa, her body shaking with sobs. I was not really pregnant, she confessed between gasps. I made it up to test you. I felt a new wave of disgust wash over me. You lied about a pregnancy to test me. That is actually worse. Kyle and I had been seeing each other, she continued, confirming what I already knew. But when I told him I might be pregnant, he completely freaked out. He told me to get rid of it, that he was not ready for that responsibility. It made me realize what a mistake I had made. So you tried to come back to me. I finished for her. Your backup plan. No, she protested. I realized I still love you. Kyle was just an excitement, a mistake. What we had was real. I remained standing arms crossed, maintaining physical and emotional distance. I found your messages, Jessica. All of them. I know exactly what you thought about our relationship, how boring it was, how exciting Kyle was. I know about the trips, the lies, the money from our joint account. Her face paled. You went through my private accounts. Yes, I admitted without remorse. After you texted me that you were pregnant with another man's child, I felt entitled to some answers. Tom, people make mistakes, she pleaded. 3 years together has to count for something. We can work through this. Couples therapy, a fresh start, anything you want. This was the moment when I finally felt the power shift completely in my favor. Jessica had expected tears, bargaining, perhaps even an angry outburst. Instead, she faced a man who had already processed his grief and made his decision. There is nothing to work through, I told her calmly. You did not make a mistake, Jessica. You made hundreds of deliberate choices, day after day for months. You chose to start something with Kyle. You chose to lie to me repeatedly. You chose to disrespect our relationship and the future we planned together. I walked to my kitchen counter and returned with the screenshots I had printed out. These are copies of your conversations. I particularly enjoyed the parts where you both laughed about how clueless I was, or when you told him the sex was better with him. Jessica reached for the papers, her hands trembling. I never meant for you to see these. Those things I said, they were not true. I was just trying to make him feel special. By demolishing me, I asked, finally allowing a hint of anger to color my voice. The man who loved you, who was planning to propose the night you sent that text, her eyes widened at this revelation. You were going to propose. I had the ring in my pocket when I got your message. I had cooked your favorite dinner, bought your favorite wine. There were rose petals and candles waiting for you at home. Fresh tears spilled down her cheeks. Tom, please. I have lost everything. Kyle wants nothing to do with me now. My friends at work know what happened. I might even lose my job because of the tension this has caused. You are all I have left. This was the moment I had been dreading, yet preparing for. The moment when compassion might override my resolve, when memories of our good times might weaken my determination to move forward. But looking at her now, I no longer saw the woman I had loved. I saw someone willing to use me as a safety net after her preferred option had fallen through. I am not all you have left, I told her firmly. You have yourself. And that will have to be enough because we are done. I deserve better than being someone's backup plan. What can I do to fix this? She asked desperately. Nothing. There is nothing to fix because there is no longer a relationship to repair. I have accepted a promotion at the downtown office. I have new friends who know nothing about you. I am building a life that does not include you, and I need you to respect that. You cannot just erase. 3 years, she argued, a hint of indignation, replacing her pleading tone. I am not erasing anything, I corrected her. I will always remember what we had, both good and bad. But I am choosing to move forward without you. The trust is gone, Jessica. Without trust, love cannot survive. I moved toward the door, signaling that our conversation was over. "I wish you well genuinely. I hope you figure things out with Kyle, or find someone new who makes you happy. But that someone will not be me." Jessica stood suddenly seeming smaller than I remembered. "Is this really it? After everything we shared?" "This is really it," I confirmed. "Please do not contact me again. I have said everything I needed to say." As she walked out of my apartment and my life, I felt an unexpected lightness. The confrontation I had feared had actually been the final step in my healing process. I had faced her, stated my truth, and maintained my boundaries. In that moment, I knew I would be okay. News traveled quickly through our social circle. Friends who had initially tried to stay neutral began taking sides. Most were supportive of me, especially after learning the full story. Jessica and Kyle both faced consequences at their workplace as well. Office relationships were discouraged but not forbidden. Deception and drama that affected workplace harmony, however, were taken more seriously. My new position at the downtown office came with unexpected benefits beyond distance from Jessica. I was given more responsibility and a slight salary increase. My new colleagues knew nothing of my personal drama, allowing me to present myself as I wanted to be seen, rather than as someone recovering from betrayal. The months following my breakup with Jessica were not easy. Despite my outward composure, I struggled with painful emotions in private. There were sleepless nights when doubts crept in, moments when I questioned if I had been too harsh or given up too easily. Loneliness sometimes felt overwhelming in my small apartment, especially on weekends when couples filled the restaurants and parks around me. I experienced a period of self-doubt, wondering if I had somehow caused Jessica to look elsewhere. Had I been too focused on work, too predictable, not attentive enough? These thoughts would spiral, especially late at night, when defenses were low. Maybe I should have fought harder for the relationship, I told my therapist during one particularly difficult session. 3 years is a long time to just walk away from. "You did not walk away from the relationship," she reminded me gently. "Jessica did that when she chose to be unfaithful. You simply acknowledged the reality of what had happened and made a healthy choice to protect yourself." This perspective helped tremendously. I had not abandoned something good. I had refused to accept something broken beyond repair. There is a significant difference between giving up and knowing when to let go. Gradually, I established new routines that supported my healing. Morning runs along the river near my apartment became sacred time for clearing my head. Weekend cooking experiments replaced the takeout habit Jessica and I had fallen into. I joined a community workshop where I could pursue my interest in woodworking, creating tangible things with my hands when emotions felt too abstract to manage. I also began reconnecting with friends I had neglected during my relationship. Jessica and I had fallen into that common trap of becoming each other's entire world, letting other connections fade. Now I made conscious efforts to rebuild those friendships and form new ones. "We missed you," my college roommate told me during a long, overdue dinner. "For a while there, you disappeared into couple land. Not happening again." I promised, realizing how important a diverse support network was for emotional health. I adopted a strict policy against discussing Jessica with mutual friends unless absolutely necessary. This was not to deny what had happened, but to prevent my past from dominating my present. When her name inevitably came up, I would acknowledge the topic briefly, then steer the conversation elsewhere. Over time, these mentions became less frequent as people recognized and respected my boundaries. The most challenging aspect of recovery was learning to trust again, both others and myself. Jessica's betrayal had shaken my confidence in my own judgment. If I had been so wrong about someone I planned to marry, how could I trust my instincts in the future? My therapist suggested reframing this thinking. "You were not wrong to trust," she explained. "Jessica was wrong to betray that trust. Those are two separate things. Your capacity for trust is a strength, not a weakness." I worked on identifying patterns and red flags I had missed or ignored in my relationship with Jessica. This was not to assign blame, but to develop healthier awareness for the future. I learned to differentiate between genuine trust and willful blindness, between optimism and denial. Nearly a year after the breakup, I felt ready to consider dating again. I had reached a place where thoughts of Jessica no longer triggered pain or anger. She had become simply a chapter in my story, rather than its defining plot point. I met Allison at a community cooking class I had joined. Unlike the instant attraction I had felt with Jessica, my connection with Allison developed gradually over several weeks of chopping vegetables and comparing recipes. She was a kindergarten teacher, with a warm laugh and an authentic way of engaging with the world that immediately put me at ease. "You seem very present," she told me after our third class together. "Most people are always thinking about somewhere else they need to be or something else they should be doing." Our first date was deliberately low-key coffee at a local bookstore where we browsed shelves and shared favorite authors. I was transparent about my past when the topic of previous relationships arose without dwelling on details or casting Jessica as a villain. "That must have been incredibly difficult," Allison said when I finished my abbreviated version of events. "Thank you for trusting me enough to share that." Her response highlighted the difference in our connection. Where Jessica had always pushed for more excitement, Allison valued authenticity. She understood that trust was not a given, but something precious to be earned and maintained. As our relationship progressed, I practiced the lessons my experience had taught me. I communicated more openly about my feelings and concerns, rather than assuming everything was fine. I established healthy boundaries while still being vulnerable. Most importantly, I approached this new relationship not as a replacement for what I had lost, but as something entirely new, with its own unique potential. Today, as I reflect on everything that happened, I recognize the profound ways this experience changed me. The pain Jessica caused was real, but so was the growth that followed. I learned that self-respect must be non-negotiable in any relationship. I discovered that resilience comes not from avoiding pain, but from moving through it with intention and awareness. Looking back, I realized that my response to Jessica's betrayal was the moment I truly took ownership of my life. By refusing to be defined by what had happened to me, and instead focusing on what I would do next, I reclaimed my power in a situation designed to take it away. The most valuable lesson was understanding that healing is not about forgetting or pretending you were never hurt. It is about integrating that hurt into a larger story of who you are becoming. The scars remain, but they mark places where you were strong enough to piece yourself back together. Have you ever faced a betrayal that initially felt devastating but ultimately led to unexpected growth? I would love to hear about your experiences in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more authentic conversations about navigating life's challenges. Share this with someone who might need a reminder of their own strength today. Thank you for listening to my story. And remember, sometimes the most painful endings lead to the most beautiful beginnings.